Hey guys, what is up? Shadow back at you once again, and today we are going to be looking at exceptions. So in the last tutorial we looked at making a very simple calculator in Visual Basic, but now we are going to look at how to handle an exception. So let's do that. So as I mentioned, if you put two letters and you try to add them like numbers, it's obviously not going to work because you can't add letters, you can only add numbers. So the solution to this is we're going to use a statement called the try-catch. So what try-catch essentially does is it's going to run the code and it's going to test the code. If the code throws an exception, let me actually write this out so it makes more sense. So here's how the code looks. So you see everything within this part is going to be the code it's going to try to run. If the code throws an exception, meaning it throws an error, then it's not going to run this code and it's going to handle the exception, and instead of crashing the program, it's just going to run the code within here. So the exception that was thrown was, I think, invalid cast exception. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put it in a try catch. So we're going to try to add the numbers, and if it throws an exception, we're going to handle it accordingly. So if it throws an exception, then we are going to do a different message box, and this is going to say, please enter valid numbers. So now we've got try. So if we do that, you're going to see you're going to get please enter valid numbers. So now, but if you do valid numbers, you get a valid answer. So that's essentially how you can use try catch. There's also I don't really use this a lot, but there's also the finally block, which essentially what this is going to do is this code will run even if an exception got thrown. So let's just do like finally. So this code will run regardless of what happens. So 1 2 3 1, let's just do that. You can see 2 4 6, and then a finally test pops up, and then the same can happen if you do this. You get please enter valid numbers, and you get the finally test. So that's how finally works. And there's also another thing you can use in Visual Basic, but I really wouldn't recommend using it, and it's kind of lazy in my opinion. It's the on next error resume, whatever it's called. Error resume next. So this basically, you can't use these at the same time. You see you get a ton of errors. But basically it says if there's an error, it will keep trying to run the code. So if you want to just try this real quick, if you try to do that, even if an error is thrown, like if you, let's just to illustrate this essentially, if you put two bad numbers in here, it's just going to crash. And notice how, wait, actually no, we can keep this, my bad. Let me just illustrate this real quick without on error resume next. Okay, so if you click this and you put invalid numbers in the program and then you click calculate, notice how this code will not run. It will just stop here. But if you use on error resume next, then it's just going to continue running, or it should. I don't really use this. Yeah, you see it will continue even if there's an error, and it won't crash the program. But as I said, this is kind of lazy, and I'd recommend using try catch. It's much more efficient and a better thing to use. Alright, so hope that makes you all understand exceptions and how they're used. Another thing is you can also use these to catch a specific type of exception. So later on when we learn how to do web requests, for example, you can, for example, do like a system.net.web exception. So it's only going to catch the web exception. So it won't catch a different kind of exception. It will only catch this specific type of exception, which can be kind of useful at times. Alright, so hope that makes you all understand exceptions and how they work. So that's going to be it for this tutorial. If you like the video, subscribe for another video. And thanks for watching, and I'll